have been making pictures in my mind, as a committed artist for 40 years. It's part of a whole journey of life, and I think it's tempting, particularly for students, to see the proclamation that I'm an artist as this kind of destination, but it's a journey, and it's a journey that carries us our whole life. It's a process of inquiry, questioning, wondering out loud, what am I doing? How do these forms of expression that this guy is making or this woman's making, how does it shape the way other people think? How does it make a difference? So there's been this, this kind of bridge between being a college president, fundraiser, manager of people, and a guy that wants to make things that are worthy of looking at and thinking about. I've been working with beeswax and oil pigment mixed together for over 20 years. Given the fact that I was trying to continue a really focused and vigorous career as an artist on top of being a focused and vigorous college president, I found that this beeswax, this encaustic, was a really great way to go. Build up beautiful surfaces rapidly, go back in and paint over them, paint into them, scratch through them, and get some wonderful kind of biomorphic shapes that would make you think of cells or microorganisms or little molds, little funguses, little growing things. I'd been thinking back to work that I'd done more than 20 years ago that was abstract, had used the same materials, but it had these totemic forms, these shapes that stood up in the middle of them. And somehow those were calling to me 20 years later. And that's where this work comes from. Okay. I've got this outline in my head of what I intend to do, but just an outline. This is an improvisational process in which my development of this family of characters over the last, sneaking up on 2.5 years, I think. Each painting influences the one that's going to follow it. Yeah, right now they are earthy and they are what we would expect. Greens, blues, browns, the stuff of landscape. And what will happen is, before we're done, I'm going to add some, what the formalists would call non-local color. Those assholes. So, I suppose let's put a screaming yellow in there and some white and, stick it on some spools of legs, and let's see what happens when we yank that baby out of its context a little bit by playing around with some of that other stuff. And it's pretty simple to do. It's just, it has to be, right now it's part of this deliberate kind of dance that I'm doing. So, yeah, so I'd want to brighten that thing up and make it more playful. Better. Better, better. Okay. I'm happier with that. About the time I was leaving, or after the time I had retired, Michael said, you know, there's more here than just a goodbye show. There's a lot more here, and I'd like to look into that with you. I said, that's really welcome. He finally showed up here one day, and he said, I think we need to do an exhibition. And he said, we got a couple of big galleries, we're redoing the galleries. So that's what we embarked on doing. And he would come down here, and we'd look at the work, and we'd talk about what was happening and what wasn't happening. It just kept getting more interesting. You know, the shapes kept getting more interesting, and sometimes I'd lose my way, and sometimes he'd find something in a painting that I'd go, whoa, I didn't see that. So, you know, on that level, it was a really deep and important collaboration between Michael Goodson and Denny Griffith. I have personal relationships with them, but they're not creatures I put to bed at night or anything like that. They're just these whole bunch of guys and girls and critters, animated characters. Well, they could be animated. Some of them should be animated. And in fact, I had the wonderful Becca Nunn animate one of these things. And I talked about, you know, giving her the freedom, you know, to have it experience something. And I said, the idea that these things would be in the process of reproducing somehow, I think is playful and funny, and important. And so we ought to try to get that out of them. And really happy with the way it came out. The thing kind of pulses and moves across the page, and it drops some babies. You know, there are things that seem to be babies. They're full of life because we're reproducing, you know, they're spawning somehow. So yeah, I'm not sure what they are, other than we got a whole stinking family of them now. You know, that up until a few days ago, I was saying it's not about the cancer. It's not about the cancer. It's not about the cancer, but it's certainly about the joy of being alive and the playfulness and kind of reverence I have for life. And it's nice to be able to draw on all the references that you've always drawn on as a painter and photographer and artist, and see this stuff kind of coming into some coherence that makes people giggle a little bit, you know, see the humor in it, see the playfulness, see the mystery. It's developed into a family that really is another world.